Got a big weekend of college football coming your way. Christian Gokel alongside Cam Ursery and PJ Zuko here on Second Down. Some big-time games. I know this is very similar to last week where a lot of people are like, not a ton of huge games on the docket. And I was just kind of shaking my head saying, what are you guys talking about? We got a ton of great games coming up. Well, I'm looking at this slate, and again, we're getting a lot of people saying, this is a tough week. Georgia's playing Vanderbilt. Alabama's got Southern Miss. Who's Penn State got? Kent State?
Villanova.
That's right. That's undefeated Villanova right now. So,
Are they really?
Yeah. Listen.
Oh, wow.
That's a 3-0 versus 3-0 game right now is all I'm saying. So
I didn't know that.
we do have some big games coming up. No, we have some
Good
big
for
ones.
them.
I think one of the bigger ones, number 7, Texas A&M versus number 16, Arkansas. Tennessee at Florida is a big one. I know Tennessee not ranked, and they've struggled against Pitt. Haven't really found their stride yet on offense or defense, and we didn't really expect that to happen. But I think Tennessee's been better than a lot of people expected. Plus, you have Florida coming off that really physical, emotionally draining performance against Alabama. We have Clemson at NC State. I think that's a sneaky game. If they play like they played against Georgia Tech, NC State's going to beat them. And then, of course, number 12, Notre Dame versus number 18, Wisconsin. That's big noon Saturday on Fox at Soldier Field. Whew. So, I mean, some huge games coming up. I wanted to start here because two of the games I mentioned, two top 25 matchups, big rivalries, awesome games, aren't being played on campus. Texas A&M and Arkansas takes place in Dallas every year because Jerry Jones, obviously owner of the Dallas Cowboys and former Arkansas Razorback football player, and so he brings both of those teams together every year inside Jerry World. And then, like we mentioned before, number 12, Notre Dame. Jack Cohn going back to play his old team in Wisconsin there, but playing it in Chicago at Soldier Field. I'm not a huge fan of this. I think there's a time and place for neutral site games, and it's in the postseason. And there's a lot of people sitting out there right now saying, Christian, what about Jacksonville? Christian,
it's different, yeah.
See, Cam, you did the thing where you're doing the exception to the rule. I don't think it is different. I just think we're used to it. Same thing that they're trying to do with Texas A&M and Arkansas. I'm not a fan, including the game in Jacksonville, the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, or the game formerly known as the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. I'm not a fan of them. And people are like, it's a great trip. You have Frat Beach happening on St. Simon's and Jekyll Island. They're going crazy. All the Georgia fans staying there. Florida fans coming over and taking over Jacksonville. And just the tailgate scene down there is awesome. That's fine. But how much bigger would it be every year if it was Florida coming to Athens? Like, people talk about Athens when Notre Dame came to town, right? They just talk about how crazy the city was. It would be that plus some every other year when Florida came to town. Imagine Georgia this year, say, number 2 in the country, having to go down to the swamp to play Florida. I mean, when was the last time Georgia played Florida in the swamp? Because the year that they were doing the renovations to the stadium in Jacksonville, they played in Athens, and Steve Spurrier put a 50-burger on Georgia. Yeah. So and I think about this game. Imagine Arkansas, after beating number 15 Texas at home in that rivalry, getting to host number 7 Texas A&M.
Incredible. And before you pivot too far off of Georgia, Florida, two of the greatest atmospheres in college football as well. I mean, I would the swamp, as we've talked about with Alabama, is one of the hardest places to play. That's why we should appreciate that win more, right? Well, you have Georgia, Florida, the biggest rivalry for those two teams coming. Like, I mean, it would be insane, and it would be such a big advantage for either one of those teams because the atmospheres are so good at Georgia and Florida.
1994 was the last time they played in Gainesville?
Yeah.
Wow.
1994. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
And then 95, was it 95 or 93 that they played in Athens?
95.
95. So back to back, 94 the last time.
Yeah.
I was 2 years old.
Especially with that rivalry too. Like, I mean, I would never want to sacrifice. I know you only get it every 2 years, but I don't care. I would never want to sacrifice, a whiteout against Michigan or Ohio State for a neutral site game.
It's like, hey,
no way.
We'll play it in Indianapolis every year.
Yeah, even if it's in like Pittsburgh and
Yeah.
still in Pennsylvania, hell no. I want that to be in Happy Valley.
Right.
And we'll go there and play next year.
Like I said, it's not that I love the atmosphere of Jacksonville because it's like a bowl game and it's split right down the middle. I've heard some people even say every third year do it, which I was like, maybe I can see that. Like you put it there every third year, but I just think it stinks that for these student athletes, if you play for Florida, you're never going to get experience playing in Athens.
Yeah.
Right. If you play for Georgia, you're never going to get to experience playing in the swamp. And just imagine some of these games from the past few years if they had to have been. Can you imagine Tim Tebow if he had to come to Athens?
Yeah, that'd be incredible.
He had a history of just running Georgia. Like no questions asked. I think it was like what? Was he 3-1 against Georgia? And Matt Stafford had that 1 year where they dominated him. Tebow had the hurt shoulder in 2007. Yeah, where they stormed the field. So
it was a blackout, right?
No,
that wasn't the same year.
No, God, no. Georgia did it wasn't even a blackout. Georgia did like the black helmets and black pants with white uniforms and got absolutely.
They never did the black jerseys in Georgia, Florida?
No.
All right.
I think I could tell you all the teams that Georgia's done the black jerseys against. It was Hawaii and Auburn in 2007 because they wore them twice.
Yeah, and they won both those games, right?
Yes,
okay,
but then they wore them in 2008 against Alabama, and then they got absolutely demolished. And I think in 2008 as well was the year that they wore them against Florida. It's either 2008 or 2009.
Like the pants
in Jacksonville. It was like the black helmet and the black pants, which we never have to talk about.
Those
again.
were gross.
This is crazy.
I don't think they broke them out again.
Oh, but no, until Georgia played like Louisiana Lafayette a couple years ago.
I think like in 2016, Kirby Smart's first year.
Yeah, because like it was like a good uniform. Yeah, it was like a good 10, 11 years because I was clamoring for years and arguing with Georgia fans. And I was like, I want them back so bad. And everyone was like, yeah, but we lost so bad in them. And it's like, it's not because of the jerseys. It's because you played Alabama.
No, it did. We didn't know it was Alabama yet.
It doesn't matter.
That was 2008. The year before, Alabama had lost to.
That was their coming out party, though, right? Like that was.
Yeah. So it's like we don't really know. And then some guy named Julio Jones.
Yeah.
Just walked all over you.
Yeah.
Tim Tebow's average score against Georgia is 37-10. It's 3-1.
Yeah. And that's including one game where Georgia put up 40 on them.
Yeah. That sink in.
Wow. So yeah, it's just like I said, Arkansas, Texas A&M. We're like, imagine Arkansas having to go in to Kyle Field and play in front of 100,000.
Yeah.
The 12th man.
Just potentially just shell shocked, right?
Well,
once you walk in.
Same thing with Notre Dame, Wisconsin. Either you're taking away Wisconsin having a chance to go play Notre Dame at Notre Dame, which is a bucket list item for everyone in college football, players, fans, coaches, everyone.
Not be able to bring in some parts of your band. Yeah, for sure.
Flip side of it is, the drum. Have to put it outside. But the flip side of that is Notre Dame doesn't get to play at Camp Randall. And so we don't get jump around in the fourth quarter. I'm sure they'll do something lame and try to do it inside of Jerry World, but I mean, it's not, it's not 80,000 students just losing their minds, like students and fans losing their minds. So
exactly.
I think something that's really cool about college football is the individual campuses. And I do understand there's a monetary side to this.
Of course, because as with anything,
schools have spoken about this. They get paid to go play in these games.
Yeah.
Versus having to host a game where it's like, you're going to make money for tickets and concessions, but you're also having to pay stadium employees. You're having to pay the city an X amount of money to host a game and use the police officers. And it's just all kinds of money going out as well as coming in versus you just hit the road, you collect that paycheck and you just have to pay your travel expenses. And a lot of times the travel expenses are comped by whoever's hosting the event as well. And the players get swag and they get to stay in cool hotels and stuff like that. So it's just, again, I think it has a place, and I think it's in postseason, conference championships, and bowl games. I'm not a huge fan of the neutral site for regular season games. And I'll throw Georgia Clemson in there. I think that should be a game. If you're going to play it, make it a home and home.
Yeah. I will say that the home and home a few years ago with Georgia and Clemson, well, now at this point, I guess it's 7 or 8 years ago, but the home and home they played then was remarkable and fun to watch for sure. Both of those historically good, and Clemson at that point was working their way out of the Clemsoning period, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, and into the spotlight. Really, Georgia. I mean, had Todd Gurley and everything like that.
Yeah, the
I mean,
second
still,
game of that home and home was Deshaun Watson's first game.
Yeah.
Mm.
Right. No, it was remarkable. So I agree with you there. I think there's one caveat where I disagree with you a little bit. And for me, it's just I love the opening week neutral site games, but that's it. But that's it.
But again,
Have like marquee.
You're taking a home game away from somebody.
I get that. I understand. But
And it's
still,
like you're a fan.
I don't know.
You get 6 home games a year.
It's a fun, strictly from a fan perspective, and I guess from not a fan of one of those teams. But it is a fun welcome back to college football. You know what, we got 2 of the best teams in the country doing battle, and we're sending off this season on a right note, on a fun note, right? Yeah, it's like,
but
it's like the end of the year.
Count. Yeah, they don't
Right,
count.
these ones do.
It's
But-
still lit. Yeah, neutral site games.
Yeah, exactly. I think, but like marquee ones again, like 3 or 4 maybe on the opening week of the season. Once we get into like 3-4 weeks in, forget about it. Like that's when you get to the home and homes, the traditional schedule, and get back to normal. I mean,
look at
that's
Georgia's
just my opinion.
2022 schedule, which it's you look at it and you're like, oh wow, you're playing Oregon. Like that's nuts. That's a really cool schedule.
Yeah.
You're playing Oregon in Atlanta.
Right.
Your home schedule is Samford, Kent State, Auburn, Vanderbilt, Tennessee, and Georgia Tech.
Right.
So if you're trying to sell season tickets, you know,
It'd be a whole lot better with Oregon on
Here's
the
our
schedule.
slate.
Yeah.
Again, our slate of home in Sanford Stadium next year. Samford, Kent State, Auburn's a really good game. Vanderbilt, Tennessee, Georgia Tech. Maybe one of those games is close at halftime.
Plenty of fans that would rather save that money and just go to the Oregon game.
No, straight up. Like
Yeah.
maybe one of those games is close at halftime.
Right.
And Georgia will still put 93,000 in there. But if I tell you you're going to play Samford, Kent State, Auburn, Oregon.
Yeah. I mean, that's huge.
It's a completely different story.
Mhm.
And we've seen Georgia fans, they'll travel anywhere in the country. 2008, I believe, you saw them get all the way out to Arizona State to go watch that game. They've gone out to Colorado. We've seen them take over Notre Dame.
Yeah.
You put them in Autzen Stadium, Georgia fans are going to travel.
Yep. No, true. And monetarily, like this may not be a huge difference. I don't know, the rates of or what they bring in from concessions and all that kind of thing. But if you have Oregon there at home, there's a lot more people buying things and staying there for the third and fourth quarter of those games as well. That you at least have one more game where there's more people in the stands and buying things from you halftime on, rather than those games you listed where, yeah, they're going to have 93,000 people in the fans to begin with, but they're probably going to have about 60,000 halftime on because it's a blowout.
Like I said,
So
I'm a big fan of on-campus games. I think it's what makes college football college football. I understand the thought. You're basically trying to put the bowl atmosphere into the regular season. And because like a lot of people say, oh, well, you have Arkansas, Texas A&M. Typically, that's a middling ranked team versus an unranked team. Like typically it's like Texas A&M's 15 and they're playing unranked Arkansas. So it's like you try to make it a marquee game by putting it in Jerry World. But the thing that you cost yourself is this year you have a top 20 matchup and you're not playing it at Texas A&M and you're not playing it at Arkansas.
Yeah, I mean, I can't get mad at that. Growing up watching like Bama, Auburn, Bama, LSU, you see, Bama going to Death Valley, LSU going to Bryant-Denny. I mean, it's, hey.
I mean, I think Florida, Georgia would be on that level. Like
I think that would be bigger than the Iron Bowl.
Iron Bowl is the best rivalry.
Yeah, it is. It's the best one, but I think it actually might be bigger. It would be and it kind of is already because you're fighting for the top of the SEC East. You're fighting for the top of the division, but I feel like it's not on par with Alabama, LSU, and it's not on par with the Iron Bowl right now because you don't have that on-campus feeling. You don't have the memories of a Tim Tebow going into Athens and beating a top 10 Georgia team in Athens. You don't have the memories of an Aaron Murray or a Matt Stafford going into Gainesville and beating Florida in the swamp. Like you don't have those memories because they play in Jacksonville. And to me, it kind of feels sterile. Like you get everybody in, you let them tailgate outside the stadium, you bring in half and half. And then a lot of times by halftime, half the stadium's empty.
Yeah.
Because their team's getting smoked. So it's just, I feel like if you play that game in the swamp or you play that game between the hedges, it is on par with Michigan, Ohio State.
Yeah.
It's on par with Alabama, Auburn.
Especially when those teams are really, really good, too.
But which most of the season, they are. Yeah.
It's good.
For the most part, you are going to have one of those teams in the top 10 at least. This year, it's looking like it's going to be a top 10 matchup.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the time that game comes around, Georgia be 2. I see Florida being like
hope
6.
Georgia will be 2.
Yeah, right.
I hope.
I guess through Arkansas and Auburn first.
And like you said,
can't sleep on them.
Right. And like you said, at very least, there's going to be one team. Basically every year, there's going to be one team in the top 10 in those matchups. And two, it robs you of moments. Imagine from all these great rivalries, right? I know if you're a Georgia fan, you probably want to close your ears, but you have the tipped ball up in the air where Auburn comes down with it and runs it into the end zone, right? Have that Georgia, Florida in one of those stadiums, right? You have all the Iron Bowl, crazy moments. Imagine those in
the prayer at Jordan Hare, but instead of the prayer at Jordan Hare, it's the prayer at Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Imagine that in Florida
having
or Georgia.
Kick 6 and they sold out and they're playing it inside of the
it would have not
Mercedes
been
Mercedes in New Orleans, and you have the Kick 6 there. It's not the same. You don't have a student section pouring onto the field and people losing their minds. It's not the same, and you're taking that chance away from having. I mean, the scene at Arkansas after they beat Texas is what college football is about.
I give you one. Cam Newton come down from 24-0 at halftime against Bama.
Well, exactly.
One of the greatest games ever.
Yeah,
by far.
And you have that in the swamp, or you have that in Sanford. Yeah. It'd be remarkable.
I mean, if
you don't have that.
Doesn't have to be a great game. Imagine Treon Harris completing 3 passes and beating Georgia in a game where they just run all over them, and he does it in Athens.
Yeah.
That's something you talk about forever.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not. It's in Jacksonville.
Yep. So it is what it is.
I mean, again, I think it's a cool. I think it's an.
But I'm with you there.
I'll say I think it's a cool tradition. Obviously, we've seen plenty of big plays. I mean, Ben Troop, guy we have on. Imagine if Ben Troop does that to an undefeated Georgia team in Athens.
Yeah. Can you imagine the noise level and the breaking the sound barrier if he did that
in the swamp?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Either way, it'd be remarkable. Yeah. But
again, I'm not a huge fan of the neutral site games during the regular season. I think you play those games on campus and you let college football be what it's supposed to be. We got more to come here. We will dive into some of those matchups, though, because I think really some seasons on the line here for some college football teams early in the year. We'll dive into all that coming up right here on Second Down. Second Down on ESPN Radio is presented to you by the Uniform Source. Diving through this SEC Week 4 schedule coming up. I mean, let me go ahead and get this one out of the way. Georgia's got Vanderbilt. I think the biggest question mark is how big of a percentage of the stadium is Georgia fans versus Vanderbilt fans, because this basically just becomes like a fun vacation trip.
Yeah.
For Georgia fans, go up to Nashville, spend the weekend.
Nashville, the mountains.
You get to see Georgia. They put it at noon. So you just get to go ahead and watch the game. By 3 o'clock, you're done. You get to go out, hang out in downtown Nashville, go watch some shows. It'll be a good time.
You sure by 3?
Yeah, ish. 3:30.
Well, sooner than that, maybe.
I mean, it'll be over way before then, but the actual double zeros on the 4th will probably 3.5 hours into it. You got a chance to go out there and either watch Texas A&M, Arkansas at a bar, or you'll watch some shows. So the only question mark to me is, again, what percentage of that stadium is black and red, and does Georgia cover? Because they're an even bigger favorite this week than they were last week against Vanderbilt. 35-point favorites on the road at Vanderbilt. That's a lot of points, but Vanderbilt's bad.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But we get to see local guy Rocco Griffin running the rock. He had 100 yards last week.
Well, that's the thing, right? I every time I say something like that now, I feel bad because we got one of our guys up there doing big things.
Listen,
and doing what he can.
He knows they're not real good right now.
Well, he's playing well though, so hopefully he can get some yards, score some points there against Georgia.
But we can go ahead and move past that one because there's some cool games coming up this week, and I think really we're going to find out. We always talk about contenders versus pretenders. We're going to find out about a lot of these teams. I don't want to say statement games because that's so overplayed, but it's just we're going to remove the veil from some of these teams. We're going to find out if they're legit or not. LSU, Mississippi State might be the most fun game of the weekend. Mississippi State is just an enigma, right? Yeah. Because you have to fight back and score 3 touchdowns in like 9 minutes against Louisiana Tech to avoid being upset. Then you come out the next week and dominate NC State. Mm-hmm. And then last week you go up to the Liberty Bowl, which again, just why in God's name you would ever play in the Liberty Bowl? Because that's just a house of horrors. You go up there, play Memphis, and the refs just kind of have to do a systems reset for a second while a play is going on and just forget to blow a play dead, and it results in a touchdown, and that's what you end up losing by. So it's Mississippi State's been a really weird team this year. Say the same for LSU. They're just not very good, but you can tell they have talent. So I think it's going to be a fun game. I think it's a game Mississippi State should win. It's at home, but LSU's favored by 2.5 in that one. I think that one's going to be fun. How about Eli Drinkwitz in Missouri having to go all the way up to Boston College?
Yeah.
To take on the undefeated Boston College.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see what Boston College does. Like you said, undefeated, have won some games this year so far, and have looked, pretty good doing so. But, I have no idea what Missouri is. You know what I mean? Because it seems like it changes every week.
Like as a football team, or just like
mainly a state. No,
general,
yeah, mainly a state. No, but as a football team, it seems like it changes every single week for them. So I don't know. I because of that, I have more confidence in Boston College. But again, Missouri might go up there and look really good.
Mizzou's favorite on the road. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Philip Dracovic is out for the year. Boston College's quarterback, he had hand surgery. So Missouri a chance against a good ACC team going up there. And then just moving down the schedule here. 3:30 kick, Texas A&M, Arkansas. 7 Texas A&M against number 16 Arkansas. We couldn't bump them up one, so I can say top 15 matchup. It had to be 16. But I think this is huge for both Jimbo Fisher and for Sam Pittman. And it's kind of two different things. Sam Pittman's riding that upward trajectory where just the approval rating and the fan base and everyone's behind him. You smack Texas, your approval ratings are going to skyrocket in Arkansas.
Yeah.
Well, now you have Texas A&M, and everyone's really hesitant on them. Haynes King gets hurt. Zach Calzada's come in, and he's played well. The defense is studly. Those dudes can fly around and make plays. I think KJ Jefferson might be in for a long day out there in Jerry World, but this is a fun game, and I think you're going to find out a lot about both coaches, because I think the most underrated assistant so far this year has been Barry Odom, the defensive coordinator for Arkansas. Speaking about Missouri, former Missouri head coach. Dude can coach his tail off. Mm-hmm. And Arkansas has been playing really hard-nosed, really fast defense. This is, to me, this is a game that's been like a triple overtime game before. This is a game where you've had 40-40 and all kinds of craziness happening. I would not be surprised to see a 2017 game in here. Yeah,
no, for sure. Because that's really the strongest matchup that you have is for Arkansas is that defense against a Texas A&M offense, which if you look at, no matter what game you look at, it's either slow to get going or never gets going, like they did against Colorado. So that offense has not clicked really at all this year. So maybe, a quarter here, a quarter there, and now you got to go up against a really tough defense in Arkansas. And oh, by the way, that's not just the defense anymore. Like Arkansas's offense is actually kind of fun to watch. So like that other side is going to be fun too. But I think the biggest stress and the biggest importance on this game, the most important matchup you have, and the most interesting one to me is, does Texas A&M's offense just keep looking inept? Can Arkansas take control of that game defensively or not? And like you said, if they do, it might be 10-7. Yeah, it might be 14-10 or something like that.
I mean, Cam, they had like the shot of Steve Sarkisian during that Texas-Arkansas game where you could just tell the game was over. They had another turnover, and they just go to Steve Sarkisian on the sideline. He's kind of like crouched down. His face is white, like it loses all the color in it. That's a good Arkansas defense, and Georgia saw it last year to start the season. If you don't come out ready to play, they'll shut you down.
Yeah, normally I would say this is a big game for Jimbo, but this is a big game for Arkansas. I mean, the next 4 games: Texas A&M, Georgia, Ole Miss, and Auburn. That's what is
a realistically realistic goal for
2-2.
Arkansas?
Oh yeah, if you go 2-2, that's a win. I mean, you're Arkansas. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're building a good program, but if you go 2-2 in that stretch, that's great. But I think Texas A&M is the big win to get because you already beat Texas. Now you beat Texas A&M. You beat the 2 top teams in the state of Texas. Now that falls into recruiting, things of that nature. But go on the road. Okay, you play Georgia, Ole Miss on the road, and then Auburn. Just go 2-2 in that stretch, and I mean, after that, you just walking away with the rest of the season. You play Alabama. That's not walking away. But after that, I think you're pretty good.
Yeah, I think 3-1 would be a godsend. I think 2-2.
I think the only game that it's gonna be really tough for them to win is Georgia.
Yeah.
I think even with how good this defense is, it's going to be tough to slow Ole Miss down. Like I don't think
you walk into that game saying it's going to be really hard for them to win. Like I think that's strength versus strength. That's really good defense against a really good offense.
Yeah.
And Ole Miss, they've played better defensively this year, but I don't think they faced a rushing attack that like. And is that after Alabama? Because I don't think they faced a rushing attack like Arkansas can throw at.
Yep. Actually, it's going to be the week after Bama, so you can see that they might be fatigued.
So you might catch Ole Miss at a bad time.
Yeah, Ole Miss is coming off. Yeah. I think 3-1, like 3-1.
Yeah.
2-2, you're like, all right, it is what it is. Like we played 4 really good teams in a row. If you come out of there 3-1 and you're Arkansas, you might be sitting pretty, looking to finish second in the West.
Ooh, I mean,
setting up a Titanic showdown with the Crimson Tide.
And who would have thought that at the beginning of the season?
All those games are close. Just say all 4 of those games close. You go 3-1. You go 3-1, and then you lose to Bama. Could like we've seen Auburn? Could you see a 2-loss team?
Reckless?
Yeah, could you see a 2-loss team?
I don't think there's.
That's pretty tough. If you lose to Georgia by a field goal and Bama by,
this is the only caveat.
You ain't losing to Bama
by a field goal. It depends on the whole. And of course you can say this any year. It depends on the rest of college football, right? If everyone's sitting there, at 2 losses,
I'm going to stop you guys.
And your only 2 losses are like a field goal to Georgia.
Arkansas loses twice. They're not doing anything except going to like maybe the Cotton Bowl. If not the Cotton Bowl, they're going to be having fun down in Florida at the Outback Bowl.
But you lose to Georgia, Bama. That's it. That's all. The 2 top teams. That's who you lose to. You beat everybody else.
I mean, if BJ was in here, he'd be freaking out right now saying like, oh, my God, Cam, you're speaking the truth. Just because you lose to number 1 and number 2 doesn't mean you're not number 3. Like, he'd be losing his mind right now.
It's also
if they lose twice.
It's based off the rest of college football because I'm not impressed by it. I think Oregon will lose twice.
If you want to play this game, if you want to play this game, if the rest of college football has 2 losses, Georgia loses to Florida and Georgia Tech.
Oh no, not Georgia. Georgia and Bama are undefeated. The rest of college football has 2 losses.
So you're saying Georgia's or the SEC
Holy
getting
cow.
3 teams in?
Wait a minute. Yeah. Okay, I gotta jump off this train. Yeah, I can't do that anymore. I can't do that anymore.
I mean,
that was fun at first, but you went too far.
You don't even get this level of SEC homerism on the SEC network.
Right. You gotta bring it in. Bring some laughter to the show. But I mean, if you look at it, Ohio State, I think they're dropping another game. I know you're Penn
Hopefully
State
they are. Yeah.
Penn State's undefeated. Iowa's undefeated.
Oh, Iowa's definitely losing a game or 2. Definitely. We know this. Oh, we know this. And I like Iowa. and then Oregon is most
okay.
definitely losing the game
Let's go into that argument then. Let's just completely dive into this black hole on Cam scenario. Everybody else loses 2 more games, and you have Georgia and Alabama undefeated meeting in the SEC championship. Say Alabama wins, so you're sitting there with 13-0 Alabama, 12-1 Georgia, 10-2 Arkansas, and 10-2 Florida. And you know what? Florida has the same exact resume as Arkansas.
They don't.
Yeah, they do, because they lost to Georgia and Alabama.
But they don't have wins against Ole Miss, Auburn, Texas A&M, and Texas. That's really nice.
You're saying Florida's the 4 seed.
Huh?
Florida's the 4 seed then at that point?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, got it.
That's a nice resume. And just say, we beat everybody.
Say the teams again.
Okay, Texas.
Stop. What is Texas besides an overranked preseason team with a first-year coach? Right. Carry on.
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M, what are they beyond a really good defense with, like PJ said, offense that scored 17 against Colorado?
Football.
10.
10 against Colorado.
7, yeah.
You know why, Cam, do you know why they're a top 10 team? Do you know why Texas A&M is a top 10 team? Because somebody has to be a top 10 team. Okay, Ole Miss.
But those are the rankings they're going to go off at the end of the year. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Ole Miss, who have they beaten?
Who, Ole Miss? Louisville. I give them that. But they're impressive, though. They're an impressive team.
By the metrics of they've beaten Louisville and Tulane.
They're an impressive team.
They stomped Tulane,
I just think the other.
Okay, no, carry on. Keep going.
Former SEC champs.
You're part of a great resume.
Former SEC
champs. Auburn. Yeah. Said Auburn. Again, much like Texas, a bottom 20 team with a first-year head coach because they fired their head coach the year before.
But that's me thinking if they play Bama and Georgia somewhat close and beat all 4 of those teams. I don't see Oregon. I definitely don't see Oregon have a better resume than that. I mean, Ohio State. Ohio State's good. They're good this year.
You're just leaving out PJ's Denny Lions?
We do have a tough stretch, though. I'll say that.
You're leaving out the Nittany Lions?
That's what I said. It's left to be said with them. They're the outlier. But Iowa, no, I don't know.
No belief in the 5th-ranked Iowa Hawkeyes.
This is some, again,
I like them, but no.
This is some SEC network alternate channel propaganda right here.
Fast forward 10 with the way as the SEC is adding teams and taking over college football. Fast forward 10 years, we might have this scenario where it's just Alabama, Georgia. It's the SEC tournament.
That's what it's going to turn into.
That's what some people in the GHSA want to do at private schools. They're just like, y'all go play your own thing.
Yeah, let's not get into that, man.
Y'all go play your own thing. We'll be over here.
Sick of y'all beating us. You go play your own championship.
That's right.
I don't want to learn how to beat you guys.
No, it's too hard.
It's not possible.
It's too hard. We don't want to do it. SEC, go play your own.
How dare we sell this on the field?
Absolutely not. It's baloney. We're going to settle this in a boardroom. We got more to come here on Second Down. We'll maybe get into more SEC. Probably. I don't know. That took a weird turn, man. I'm
glad I brought it there.
Let's go to break. Cam, you're going with like the generic gym playlist today.
Rihanna, man.
What's up with you?
No, I'm just feeling it. I'm in a good mood.
I feel like I'm at Globo Gym.
And
Oh,
Working out in
man.
front of
That's
a
a
bunch
banger
of
right there.
working
man.
out in front of a bunch of mirrors and listening to like whatever they're pumping through the systems in the PA.
All I'm saying,
Oh God.
okay.
Have you recovered from the propaganda from last segment?
I'm trying to get away from that. What Cam has played so far has actually been like, you're vibing a little bit, you're bouncing, it makes you want to bounce around or whatever. Let's be honest though. Every now and then the gym will play a banger, but then from, in between those, it's like songs that make you look up and say, how am I supposed to get amped to this? Like, why?
Swizzle?
Yeah, like some of that, some like slow songs, some like I don't know, man. It's just weird. You just look up and you're like, what in the world?
Everybody has AirPods in now.
Well, thank goodness. But I mean, I was in the gym the other day. My headphones died because I forgot to charge them.
Oh no,
which is my fault. Self-admittedly, my bad. But then I'm like,
so you had to like have
what are y'all doing?
You had to have no headphones in and just work out like a psychopath.
Yeah, it was weird. For like that's why I left. I left early. Yeah.
No, Cam, we already established that about you.
Yeah, I am.
You're weird.
Yeah.
Those of you who don't know, Cam will drive for hours at a time with just nothing.
But
there's nothing wrong with that.
At least you get to choose silence in that moment. At that moment, I could not choose silence. It was like slow Taylor Swift songs, and of course, the rest of the gym grunting and yelling at their highest fashion whenever they throw down weights for no reason.
Clearly not working out at a gym that has the no lunk zone alarm.
Oh no, not at all. Yeah, no, of course not. They're in there like. The dudes who are beefed up are like barely wearing shirts, just throwing, like literally taking weights and throwing them across the gym for no reason.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly. Just like lifting crap above their head and slamming it. Like yeah, dudes, hey, come on.
Why are you stopping them? They're trying to live their best life.
I'm really not. I'm just over there in the corner wondering why my headphones died and why this music is playing.
When the Stairmaster is going to be available.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then that's the thing. They'll come back there the next day and do the same thing. I'll be back there in like a week and a half wondering why I don't look like them. Yeah, no, exactly.
Stop it. You look great.
I'm just kidding.
You look great.
Get out of here.
Speaking of looking great.
Stop it.
Austin Riley.
That was what that was about. It was about the terrible music.
I mean, you and Austin Riley basically have the same physique.
All right. Let's not go too far now. Hold on.
No, my man looks like a Greek god out there just slapping home runs. Austin Riley back over 300 with his batting average. And has hit 30 home runs now. I think 94 RBIs as well for the Braves third baseman. But I find so funny, and I talk about this on the show a lot, is just perspective and where we were at, like, say, this time last year, where it was like, Austin Riley's fine, but, like, is he the weak spot in this Braves infield because you got Freddie Freeman, Dansby, and Ozzie Albies? Like, if you can find a third baseman, right? Like, we had Josh Donaldson. And maybe you move Austin Riley to a platoon in the outfield, but we need a third baseman. Now he's an MVP candidate.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with the Braves. Remember, for a very long time, I think this took years off of Cam's lifespan. The Braves could not get above 500.
No.
Yeah.
They would get to 500, and we would all be holding our breaths, and then they'd lose like 3 games in a row.
I would honestly like come in, especially when it was the back and forth, right? I would come in and we would talk about the Braves game last night, and like I would look at the score and I'd be like, "Are you guys sure this isn't from the night before?" Like, no, this is it.
That's it.
That's
We're just
still one game back. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's insane.
But what's wild is, again, you have Adam Duvall, who is just having an unbelievable season, and he's hit 15 home runs since he joined the Braves.
Yeah.
Solaire's hit 11 home runs since he joined the Braves. Arcia's been out of his mind good. And you have Freddie Freeman's over 30. Austin Riley's over 30. I think Ozzie Albies is sitting at 29. And Dansby's sitting like 24, 25.
Wow.
Home run. It's just been, and no team in baseball has scored a higher percentage of their runs off of the home run ball than the Braves. So it's pretty much feast or famine. You got to send it out of the ballpark or you're not going to be able to score any runs. But flip side of that, the bullpen all of a sudden is starting to come along, with the exceptions of Rich Rodriguez and Will Smith. It's Luke Jackson's all of a sudden throwing the ball really well. So you're coming down the stretch. You got a 3-game lead on the Phillies, And you kind of have that weird thing coming. You have 2 more with the Diamondbacks, which just go ahead, sweep the Diamondbacks out. They don't care about the season anymore.
Right.
They have 40 wins at this point, already 100 losses. They don't care about the season anymore.
Just get a 2-run lead, you're good.
Yeah, just get in there, win these next 2 games, and even if the Phillies split their next 2, you're up 4 games. Because then you have to go to San Diego, and if you look at the schedule right now, it's a 3-game series against the Padres, but you still have like 2.5 innings of a game you're down 3-2 in to finish. So there's a distinct possibility that you lose 2 games in one night.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, a 4-game lead could go to a 2-game lead against the Phillies with 2 more games left to play against the Padres, and then a 3-game set against the Phillies. So that's what you're looking at. You got 2 more against the Diamondback. So you have 3.25 more against the Padres, and you go 3 with the Phillies and 3 with the Mets. This, I wouldn't be comfortable at all right now if I'm an Atlanta Braves fan. I know it's like they said, FanGraph says the Braves have an 85% chance of making the playoffs. Don't give me percentages in Atlanta sports.
Yeah, no. Well, because we've seen it too. I mean, not only with this team when the guy's on it, as you've already described, but just in sports in general and in baseball. Man, things can change so quickly.
In Georgia sports in general. You know how many times, PJ, I've been looking at a ESPN box score for a Falcons game, and it says the win probability is 99.9%, and they lose that football game.
Right. That's one game, though, right? I'm saying, like, in baseball, you can get the funk, and you can just knock it out of it. So, like,
that's not one game. That's just the Falcons' existence.
Yeah. Not right now. Do the Falcons exist right now? I'm not really sure.
Lions, Cowboys. I could go on.
Don't give me probabilities with Georgia sports, because we will find a way to just completely alternate the universe.
With that being said, though, playing really well right now, as we were talking about, right?
Okay. 4-game skid.
Playing okay.
I'm just trying to get back to some positive vibes, man. Let's try and feed into this team.
You've beaten the worst team in baseball a couple times in a row.
That's all right. You got to keep beating them.
Yeah, you almost got swept by the Rockies.
Yeah, that 4-game skid was tough. That's what kind of messed them up right now. But hopefully they can get back on track.
Welcome, PJ.
I was just like, you started this segment. I was like, man, everything's like talking about the group, talking about the good things. Hopefully we can keep those going. And then boom, all of a sudden just drop this.
The only thing we have on the show for you is Cam's SEC propaganda and me dreading the Braves.
Maybe this is why this keeps happening, right? People, things start going good, and then you start talking about the bad things. Let's keep talking about Austin Riley hitting home runs. Well,
Let's
do that. Yeah,
that is fun. It's cool to see Freddie Freeman.
Hopefully that keeps happening.
Freddie Freeman has the same amount of home runs as Austin Riley, 14 less RBIs, but 50 less strikeouts.
Yeah.
So I mean, 2 MVP candidates in your infield for the Braves. Now your biggest order of business is make sure you re-sign Freddie Freeman.
Yep.
That's the biggest thing right now. Playoffs, don't care. Don't care. I mean, you want to win the division, you want to go to the playoffs, but you're going to play the Brewers, and you don't have the firepower right now to go up against some of the teams that are the best in the league. Could you go in there like harass the Brewers? Sure. Are you beating the Dodgers or the Giants? No. So playoffs are fine. Number one priority for the Braves, re-signing Freddie Freeman.
Yeah.
Because once you get Ronald Acuna back next year, and you're looking at that lineup and maybe the DH is back, this could be a really dangerous team in the future, but it's just not the same if you don't have 5 playing first base. We got more to come here on Second Down. We'll come back. Final segment next. Cam sticking with the Globo Gym playlist here. I respect the move.
Yeah. Rihanna, man.
I think I know what we're getting at here. It's just straight up a Rihanna crush. So I mean,
yeah, it is.
There we go. So
well,
Cam, I mean, can't blame you. Cam's a big fan of Riri. Who's not?
Who isn't?
Yeah, who's not?
There you go. Yeah.
Got a big show coming up on 3 and Out. The guys will dive into a big weekend coming up of college football. Connor Riley from Dog Nation will be joining us in the 3 o'clock hour as well. Also talk about, is Matt Corral the best quarterback in college football? I think the answer is a resounding yes. I think there's a couple other guys out there that can make a claim, but Matt Corral to me is that guy. Also going to talk more about these neutral site games during the regular season. Update you on the college football playoffs discussions happening today. And we'll take a look at the Bud Light Southern Power Poll. All that coming up next on 3 and Out right here on ESPN Radio.